So, Presence is the new film that's sort of marketed as a horror film, but not quite. A lot of people are comparing it to Lake Mungo, which sort of was the reason I kind of went and saw it. But this was an interesting one. So the premise of the movie is unique but pretty simple. So a family moves into a house. There's a ghost, a presence around, and the twist is it follows the perspective of the ghost, like a first-person POV. So like a lot of long takes, and also a lot of like just cut to blacks. And this film it's interesting. Like when I left the theater, I had to kind of process it for some time to kind of get my thoughts on it. And let me explain. Firstly, the premise of the whole perspective of the ghost, does it work? Kind of. Like, it's interesting, and it does tell a story in a unique way, but you can sometimes feel the movie sort of is being strained by this limitation. The ghost can't really phase through walls or do anything too crazy. It's just the camera that kind of floats around, and there are some interesting things done, some cool like practical effects, and even like when characters would kind of acknowledge the ghost, but not exactly. They feel like something's watching them. Stuff like that I really enjoyed. So, yes, well, it kind of I felt the premise felt strained at points. I was still invested throughout, and I did appreciate the presentation. But I think what's more important to talk about is the story. Because with a movie like this, which is like strictly dependent on story, if the characters and narrative and the way the plot goes doesn't hook you, it just won't work. And for me, this is where I feel divided. Because throughout the movie, I was hooked. We follow this family. There's some issues, like especially the daughter. She's sort of like grieving the loss of a classmate. And like I was into that. Like the character writing isn't masterful per se, but there's enough done to make me care. The parents weren't just archetypes. They had their own flaws and sort of thought processes. And it was interesting kind of see them go back and forth. But where I feel the film sort of falters is sort of the conclusion. So the movie sets up a mystery. How's the ghost connected to everything that's going on? What's going to happen to this family? And the conclusion, while it made sense, it didn't really make me go, wow. It's just like, oh, okay, guess that makes sense. And then that adds up. But it didn't really, grab me and make me go, oh my god. It's like, it exists. And the ending of the film was a little silly, which I felt kind of betrayed the film's tone, since the film's all about a slow burn and the eventual reveal. And think of Lake Mungo. I won't get into spoilers for that movie since I think it's great, and if you haven't watched it, you should definitely see Lake Mungo. Like that film, it felt so satisfying and shocking when you enter the third act, and the eventual final shot just stays with you. And like with Presence, it's just the ending happens. It's almost kind of comical the way it's presented, and it just kind of ends, and you're like, huh. Like I wasn't confused by the story. Like I think it would make sense. Most people will be able to put two and two together, but the way it was presented, the eventual reveal, it just wasn't all that impactful. So all in all, Presence is a strange film to talk about. It's kind of, with most films, I just go, I like it, I don't like it, it's great, it's good, it's bad. But this one had an interesting premise, had some character drama that hooked me, but by the time the ending came around, I just wasn't feeling it. I felt kind of underwhelmed, honestly. But that being said, I'm glad a movie like this is still being made and still being released. And if you want to kind of give a weird supernatural movie a shot, I'll say it's worth watching. But it could have been better, and sometimes the premise feels like it's stretched a little too much in terms of directing. So all in all, I'm going to give Presence a 6 out of 10.